I think your voice carries.
Yeah, no one's ever complained about not being able to hear me. Real quick, I'm going to give you just you know what? I don't need this. All right. Just quick information about me. I have been in the computer business for the past 27 years. I've been in the corporate world working for some pretty big companies. SmithKline Beecham, AmeriGas Propane. I was the network manager for 12 years. And in 2008, I started consulting on my own. Left the corporate world, and I'm not looking back. But along that time, for the past 6 years, I have been doing a podcast. How many listen to podcasts? Everybody? You know what a podcast is? A podcast is a way for you to be able to download a show and listen to it when you want to listen to it. It's free. You can subscribe to it many ways. And I also record the show that I put out. I record that on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock live. So if you want to tune in live and hear me record the show, we sort of have like a weekly user group meeting Thursday nights. So you join the chat, and what happens, there's a lot of users that join, and Clark's there quite a bit, and we share information. I record my show, but along the way, I stop and I ask questions from everybody in the chat room. And so we solve problems together, because that's what this is about. And that's what my talk's about. It's about solving problems, like we heard right before we started here. Everybody has problems. I don't care if you have a Mac, PC, everybody runs into problems. So it's how you solve them, and how can we do it for free? Because that's what we want to do, and that's what we're going to talk about. So my website, MikeTechShow.com. One of the things that you don't have to worry about, I am going to talk about a lot of programs today. I have already updated my website with links to every link that I'm going to discuss. So if you go to MikeTechShow.com right now, you'll actually see all the links to all the programs I'm going to talk about. So you don't have to worry about writing them down. Just get to that one site, you'll have everything. So I wanted to make it easy. That's why I didn't even want to hand it out. Why hand it out? Don't need handouts today. Go to the web. So, the agenda. And please, interrupt me with questions. I want this to be interactive. So, we're going to solving computer problems. I have a few tips in how I approach solving computer problems. We're going to talk about utilities. We're going to talk about how many times have you lost your password, ran into someone who's forgotten their password, and they couldn't get into their computer. I'm going to show you how easy that is to be able to reset passwords. So that's what we don't want the bad guys. That's what, we're going to use this for good, right? Some great applications. A couple applications that I'm going to mention that are my favorite apps that are free that you may or may not have heard of. Then we're going to talk about backups. Now, anybody that was at the Princeton user group meeting, this is going to be a much more concise talk, where I spoke a while about all the facets of backing up. We'll see, time permitting, how many questions you have, if we want to get into that. And then, of course, Q&A. Now, I'm going to stop along the way and actually demo some of the things. So, for today, all the links, go to MikeTechShow.com. Now, hardware problems. Well, hardware or software. If you have a computer problem, is it hardware or is it software? You have to make that determination. And that's hard to determine because we don't know. Is it bad memory? Is it a bad hard drive? What is going wrong? Or is it the Windows operating system itself? Is there something wrong with XP, Vista, or Windows 7? So I have a couple links, and we're gonna actually run one of the utilities right now, and it's to check your hard drive. Crystal Disk Info. Now, for anybody who's heard me speak, has heard me talk about it, how many have not heard of Crystal Disk Info? Oh, you are going to love this. This is the first program that you run when you're running into hard drive, any kind of a problem, because it's going to tell you right away whether the hard drive's bad. Yes, it gives you a lot of other information. Wait till you see how easy this is. This is one of the easiest things to run. And I already have it. Let's see. I already have the portable version. And we're going to go to, where is Crystal Disk Info? There we go. After you download and install the portable version, there's a file called Disk Info EXE. So we're going to double click it. And when it runs, it's very simple what we're looking for. We're looking for a blue light. There we go. It says good. If you see yellow or red, you got a hard drive problem. If it's yellow, your hard drive's going to fail. Could be tomorrow, could be a week from now, it will fail. If it's red, it's already failing. Back up your data, go out immediately and buy a new hard drive.
What operating systems will that work on?
All.
Okay.
I'm running it on Windows 7. It'll work on XP and Vista. And it gives us, the geeks in us, a little extra info, like power on hours, 641. I've rebooted my system 244 times. You can get the make and model of the hard drive. This is helpful because if it's bad, you can at least say, well, it's SATA 150. I know the replacement drive for my laptop has got to be a SATA 150 drive. You don't need to know what that is, but if you go to Best Buy, or if you go online, or you go to a friend to order it for you, you know what you're ordering, because there's lots of different drives. So right here, this gives me a lot of great info about the hard drive. And what did I do? I clicked a program. I did nothing else. And it told me whether the health status is good or bad. It doesn't get easier than that. I like it easy. So now we've determined that the hard drive is good or bad. Now we need to move on, because if it's good and we're having problems, what else is happening? It could be the memory. So what we're going to do, let's go back. So if it's the memory, we have a site called memtest86.com. There is a utility that you can download and make a bootable CD that will test the memory. The minute you boot it up, we're not going to do that here, but it will let you run tests. And let me tell you, after the first pass, when it's testing your memory, it will come back and it will tell you whether your memory's bad. Once you know the memory's bad, again, you can go buy the memory, you can get a replacement. The next, a lot of people forget. How many people have a Dell system? Great. You know, on boot up, you can hit the F12 key, and it will let you pick diagnostics. There's an option for boot options. So when you hit F12, you're going to get a list of boot options. One of them is diagnostics. If you're running into problems, run the diagnostics. Let it go through the pass. It'll test the CPU, it'll test the memory, it'll test everything. And it'll test the video. So now we know whether hardware is bad or not. So if you're having lots of problems, these are things you can do very easy, and it can tell us whether it's hardware. And you don't have to spend a lot of money for someone like myself to come in and diagnose it, or take it to a Geek Squad or some other place. So once we know that there's hardware, we know how we go about fixing it by contacting the manufacturer if it's under warranty, or replacing the component. But now, all the hardware is good. It checks out. So software. Some of the things that I go through a lot of problem solving with lots of clients. And this used to be my last step sometimes. And I've turned it into my first step. Because 80% of the time, when I'm running into a problem and it's not hardware, it's due to spyware. And there's lots of terms. You got spyware, malware, viruses, whatever you want to call it. It's bad, and we need to eliminate it. And the way to eliminate it is free software. But before we do that, there's a little utility here, but it's an awful long URL. So that's why don't worry about it. It's called TFC, and it's Temporary File Cleaner. When you run this program, it will clean out all of the temporary files in the system. Now, you think you know where they're at. Let me tell you, they're all over the place. And that's where a lot of viruses and spyware hide. So once we clean out, especially with XP, once we clean out all of the temporary files, we now have the temporary files clean, we can begin to use some of the free anti-spyware programs. So you got Avira, that's my favorite antivirus program, and it's free. So we'll talk about that in a second. Malwarebytes, you go to malwarebytes.org, Super Anti-Spyware, and it sounds phony if you've never heard of it, but superantispyware.com, download the free versions. You need multiple programs to check spyware. One program will not do it all. You have to have two, sometimes even more than that. Now, if you know you're infected because you got that pop-up screen that says you're infected, if you have software or a screen asking you to buy software because you are infected and that is the infection. So do not buy it, and I've had clients whip out their credit card because here's what happens. When a piece of software comes up and it says it wants your credit card for $49, they will take your credit card, and it takes, I think, it's under 2 minutes, it may be down to a minute, where your identity and your credit card has been compromised. It takes about 60 seconds. Your card's done. Call and have the number stopped. Have the card, stopped because it has been compromised. That's the scam. That's what spyware is all about. It's to steal your credit card and get your information and get it out there. Pure and simple. It's a software company in Russia, and they are absolutely doing this, and they are making billions because of people who do not know, and they will give their credit card thinking that they're going to eliminate the spyware, and that is the spyware. So when you see PC infection 2008, or when you see that you are infected, there's one answer. It's called combo fix. And you can't Google combo fix because you got to be careful. There's programs now that are masking as the fix. So if you go download it, you're in trouble. So how do we tackle this? If you forget where this is, you got to type bleeping computer and then space combo fix when you're doing the Google search, and that'll take you to the proper place. This little program, if you download it, boot into safe mode, and booting into safe mode, you hit the F8 key before the Windows logo comes up. You boot into safe mode, you have combo fix on a USB stick, you run combo fix, and you obey everything that it tells you to do. And it will clean the virus. It will clean it. Takes a few minutes, and the bigger the infection, the longer it takes. Great program. This has saved me and many of my clients by running this. It saves countless hours of redoing the computer.
Don't you have to update that combo fix every month?
Yes. As a matter of fact, if you don't update it, it deletes itself. And it will delete it and tell you you don't have the latest version, and it deletes it. It deletes itself. You have to get the latest version. That's right. So it's one of those programs that if you're carrying it around with your USB stick and you haven't used it in a couple days, guess what? You got to re-download it again. So I always update it when I'm going out to kind of put out fires and I know I'm going to be walking into a virus situation. I re-download combo fix. There's another program, Viper Rescue. Anybody know that? Viper Rescue is another program that updates itself every day. And it is literally a command line program that runs at the command line that takes a long time, but also looks for infestations and wipes them out.
Is that called again?
Viper Rescue.
Viper?
Viper Rescue. Okay, so we got, so once we run, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the software, or it's going to be a virus infection, a malware infection. That's what you're going to find. All right, time for some utilities. 2 utilities, and again, anybody who's heard me talk, the Glary utilities, how many have not heard of Glary? You've not heard of it. Oh, I love it. Now, how many have not heard of CClean?